Hey YouTube, Mike the Alpha Hoarder here. Thanks for joining me. Today I've got a low-key back to basics video. This is the last one in my stroll through the Alpha Commons. If you look back at my channel history, you can see the other colors. I've gone one by one. White, blue, black, red, and all that's left is green. Just going to look at some old cards, reminisce, and that's that. These videos don't get very many views, and it's not the kind of content I can do all the time, but I enjoy it, so I figure every now and then. Just play with this light for a minute. I got a new setup I mentioned. It's not quite as stable. Alrighty. Alright, so the forests. You know, I go back and forth trying to figure out what my favorite lands were, but I think the forests might be. I spent a lot of time in the woods when I was a kid. There was an aqueduct that ran through the forest behind my backyard, and you know, the other side of that was like a wooded hill which went down a ways before there were any more houses. So if you were standing in that aqueduct, you really couldn't see houses on either side, and it was just, you were in the woods, and I just loved that. You know, if we weren't building forts, you know, over a downed tree or playing like Nerf gun commandos or aliens or whatever, I don't know, we were just in there all the time. And green was naturally my color when I first played, you know, Craw Worm and some of these big creatures. I just loved it. So, I don't know, I still get pulled into these lands. Chris Rush just does an awesome job. And there's the Craw Worm. So, yeah, 6'4", vanilla 6'4", and 6, man, what a beast. You know, I remember opening one of these for the first time, and it was a big dude back then. You know, 4 felt big back then. Anything over 4 was sort of the stuff of legends, as far as I was concerned. My first deck was red and green, worms and goblins, and it was terrible, but I loved building it. And if you look at the artwork, this thing just goes on and on and on. So cool. And then we have fog. This light is still giving me glare. Let's see if that's better. So this prevents all combat damage for 1 at instant speed. The artwork is signed 92. A couple of the cards are like that. They technically predate the game, I suppose. I think Shanadin Dryads is like that too. Simple artwork, but surprising amount of detail hidden in there. You know, the more you look at it, sort of the more you can see what's going on in that fog. And yeah, less is more sometimes. This isn't Drew Tucker, but Drew Tucker is one of my favorite artists, and that's sort of his style, the less is more thing. He did Plateau, I believe, and Exorcist and a few others. But Word of Command is like that. That's Jesper. You just don't see that in modern Magic cards now. Now it's very much in your face. Lack of subtlety. Lack of nuance. That's a problem in our wider culture, I would say, not just Magic, but that's for another video. Giant Growth. 1 to give a creature +3/+3. At one point, I believe this was the most reprinted card in Magic. Giant Growth. I'm not sure about today. It's definitely in the top 5. Sarah Angel's up there too. Obviously the lands. Giant Spider. 2/4 with reach for 4. It's a creepy thing. For a long while I thought this was an Arabian Nights card. Just, you know, I don't know. The setting just looked that way to me, but yeah, when I was 10, I watched the movie Arachnophobia. Took me about 20 years to get over that. So, suffice it to say, this was never a favorite card of mine. And if you have kids, don't let them watch Arachnophobia. Pro tip. Grizzly Bears. Vanilla 2/2 for 2. Classic baddie, turn 2 play. And slap this guy with a Giant Growth, and you got some muscle to kick around. Ironroot Treefolk. 5 for a 3/5. Although that 5 defense was no joke back then. But, you know, not too much could overpower in those days. You had your flyers, of course. I love the artwork. And the trees, the branches are like little fingers. Anyway, classic. And then we've got, oh, Llanowar Elves. Awesome card, cool art. I believe, if I'm recalling correctly, when Richard Garfield saw the artwork, he was very surprised. It's not at all what he had expected, but he chose to keep it. Anson does great work, and this card is a fine example of that. And Alpha is the ultimate bling for an elf deck, I would say. And that does make this card one of the more expensive commons, but a great one to collect. Next in green, we had Regeneration. I love Regeneration as an ability. I love this art. You have to look at it for a second to really take it all in. This guy's arm was sliced off, severed off, and the skin looks like it was all chewed up or burned with acid or something. There's bone in there, there's muscle, and it's all like threading back together. It's just fantastic. Awesome card, awesome artwork. So I got a bunch of copies. Good old Sprites, 1 for a 1/1 flyer. The art and the flavor text never quite connected to me. You know, trying to pass these guys off as scary, but honestly, they're sort of cute. The Dryads, Forest Walk. I don't think you see that ability too much. Land Walk was more of a thing back in the day, but I don't know, maybe it was hard to balance or something. But yeah, 1 for 1/1. Nothing fancy. Cool artwork. 1992 dated. Next in green we have Stream of Life. Target player gains X life. Classic card. As with so many of these, just beautiful artwork. There's a cool little salamander there if you spot him on the rock. And I don't know, the art just fits. Stream of Life, green, the theme. Everything just fit together so nicely, it feels like. And then we have Tranquility. Destroy all enchantments for 3, which is really useful. I have no idea if there's more modern cards that sort of do this better. I'm not much of a player, but Doug Schuler art. Maybe it's just me. I think of him. I think of Doug Schuler really for his portraits. He does a ton of them, a ton of the iconic ones. Sarah Angel, Veteran Bodyguard, Demonic Tutor, what else? Prodigal Sorcerer, Psionic Blast, Northern Paladin. I'm sure there's a whole bunch more. But let's see. In addition to the basic lands, he's got this landscape and I want to say Volcanic Eruption. Check me on that, but anyway. Schuler can do it all. Wall of Wood, the only common wall. 1 for an 03. Cool artwork, cheap card, fun one to get if you don't have any alpha and you just want an alpha card. Wall of Wood is your card. War Mammoth, 3/3 with trample. 3/3 with trample. Trample was such a badass ability. It still is, honestly. But I always felt like this card was meant for Ice Age. I don't know if there's a story to that. Or if they just happen to draw some snow. But I do know they were planning the Ice Age set from very early on, so who knows. Great card. And then we've got Wild Growth, of course. For 1 green, target land produces a green in additional to its normal production. Absolutely classic card, great artwork. Another cheap one if you want to pick up a little alpha. Once again, deep artwork. You can just sort of fall into it and pick up more and more details the more time you spend looking. And it fits the theme of green so well. Love it. And then we got a final page of forests. So that's all for today. That concludes the green. That concludes the tour of the commons. So thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching today's video. If you want to see more content, then search YouTube for cat videos and you will find plenty of content. Just not by me, but you will find plenty. See you next time.